Arjun wanted to see the Kaiju Luna deck. Well, we have it. We have the SuShip Special, and, well, some other interesting little odds and ends from the YCS. Don't beg 30% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out. More Oz contents for those of you that were always wondering, what was the Fairy Tail Luna deck? What was the Kaiju deck? What are we doing here? This is rank 8 access. I don't know why they keep calling it everything else. Fairy Tail Luna controls like the sub name, but it is like the best rank 8 monsters and all of dual monsters here. Where basically you're going to capitalize. You have a sub OTK engine for this little guy, and you just have a lot of good extra deck tools here to get the job done. Is that it? Yeah, Swage de Fleur is a busted card. I cannot tell you how long I've wanted to see like this OCG concept actually adapt its way into the TCG, and we finally had somebody do it. So we have triple copies of Alpha, the Master Beast, 2 copies of Astro Kribo, and we have triple copies of Little Bigfoot, 2 copies of Thunderbird with 1 Pankratops. We have 1 Doggeron with triple copies of Fairy Tail Luna. We have triple copies of Godarla. We have triple copies of Little Sea Turtle. Triple copies of Gizmekarochi. Triple copies of Fenrir. We have triple copies of good old Swage de Fleur. 1 copy of Change of Heart, so you can laugh at your opponent and take their monster and make Zeus. We have 1 Feather Duster, 2 copies of Kaiju Slumber, 2 copies of the Lightning Storm with 1 Mind Control. We have 2 copies of Paw Desires, triple Trade-In, 1 Talents, and 1 Thrust. Down in the next check, we have 1 Zeraboros with 1 Dahark, 1 Asa with 1 Zombie Vampire. We have 1 Dragoblion with 1 Galaxy Photon Lord, 1 copy of the Pain Gainer. We have 1 copy of the 7 Sins, 1 Hope Harbinger with 1 Lancelot, 1 Number 100, 1 Arise Heart, 2 copies of Sky Thunder, and 1 Dingrisu. Then, of course, we have 2 copies of Little Jurist Herd, 2 copies of Magna Hut, triple copies of Denko Rekka, 2 copies of Blizzard, triple copies of Skill Drain, and triple copies of There Can Only Be No Fun Allowed. Wrapping up your Danger Bigfoot Turbo Rank 8 deck. This is the SuShip Special. Now, if you don't know or have seen Duelist dressed up as a SuShip Duelist out here, I believe that this is turned into like a cultural thing at this point, which is really cool because there's an OCG Duelist, I believe, I don't remember where it was specifically, but they dressed up as a SuShip Duelist. And then I believe on our side over here, another Duelist actually dressed up as a SuShip Duelist as well. So this is like turned into like a lot more people are starting to kind of cosplay these chefs playing this deck, and I think that that's awesome. So this was the special that they prepared for the YCS. We have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. We have triple copies of Droll and Lockbird with 1 Sea Turtle. Triple copies of Ghostbell and the Haunted Mansion with 2 copies of the Aruka. We have triple copies of Sherry Red with 1 Shiro. We have triple copies of the Uni. We have 1 copy of the Divine Carnate, 2 copies of Lava Golem, 1 copy of Griffin Rider with 2 Water Enchantress, triple copies of the Sherry. We have 1 Double or Nothing with 1 Draco Beck. We have 1 Faithful Adventure with triple copies of Painful Decision, 2 Rite of Amnesia with triple copies of Small World. We also have 2 Tack Talents and 2 copies of Thrust. Down in the extra deck, you have 1 Unicorn, 1 Hito with 1 Access Code, 1 Utopic Future with 1 Utopic Future Draco, 2 copies of Utopia Double, because there will always be that one guy that wants to ash this, and then you're like, ah, sad face. We also have 1 Utopia, 2 Dreadnought with 2 Super Class Aruka Dreadnoughts, 1 Gaia, and 2 copies of Zeus. And then we have, of course, triple copies of Lancia, triple copies of Denko Rekka, triple copies of Dimension Shifter, triple copies of the Cosmic Cyclone, and triple copies of Hey, Trunade, wrapping up your SuShip Surprise, aka I like what we're trying out here in terms of the goodies. Next up here, we have some Traptrix. Now, for everything that we've seen across all of these Traptrix variants out here, it is always very interesting to see what ideas they're trying. Today, they're trying out the Regulus package in here because Boreas is a plant monster, and you actually have plant Traptrix in here. And it's actually very unique, the amount of splashability that you have in here to actually allow you access to the Borea. It's not like people haven't tried this yet. It just kind of depends on what variation, how much money you want to put into the deck, and so forth. And honestly, the more budget builds, you don't really have to go that crazy to, try some of these ideas. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. We have one Turtle with one Kumamungus. Triple copies of Parallel Exceed. We have 2 copies of the Rika Princess. Okay. We have one Regulus with one Borea. We have 2 copies of the Rachna Kempa. 2 copies of Dionea. 2 copies of Mantis with triple copies of Myramelia. We have triple copies of Pudica. And then we have triple copies of Pot of Prosperity. 1 copy of the Disc Coliseum with 1 Trap Garden. We also have triple copies of Evenly. Gotta love this card. We have 1 Floodgate Trapple, 1 copy of Best Trapple. I can't believe I've still lost many games to this card. We have triple limited permanents with 1 Time Space, triple copies of Traptrix Holtia, and then 1 copy of the Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. Now in the extract we have 2 copies of Sarah. Yeah, we're actually kind of amputating some of the dead weight here. 1 copy of Oedipus, 1 Asa with 1 Jasmine, 1 Rafflesia with 1 Pinkulia, 1 Time Thief Redoer with 1 Teardrop. We have 1 Hyperton with 1 Storina, 1 Baguski, 1 Exiton, and 2 copies of Zeus. And then, of course, you got triple Lancia, triple Shifter, 1 Godarla, 2 Interrupted, triple Dimensional Barrier, and, of course, triple copies of Solemn Judgment here, wrapping up your Traptrix list. Next up here, we have our London first place list. Now, full disclaimer here, 95% of these Sprite decks all look the same in terms of the more conservative build. When I say conservative, I mean like the copy and pasta of like, oh, we're going to play the Nimble package in here, and then we get a little bit of splashability. This build also focuses on actually playing Fenrir in the deck. Yes, Fenrir to search for Fenrir, Fenrir swing. You got to remember, Fenrir as a utility asset is still crazy, even though it's outside of the box here. And of course, Melfi Caddy and Penny here interactions to facilitate Melfi's of the Forest, or make Herald of the Arclight here. It's pretty good. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. We have 2 copies of Fenrir. We have 1 little Caddy and 1 little Penny. We have 2 copies of Nimble Angler. We have triple Nimble Beaver with triple copies of Sprite Blue. We have 2 copies of Sprite Carrot. We have triple copies of Sprite Jet with 2 copies of Sprite Red Ranger. We have triple copies of Swappy Doppy Big Froggy, 2 copies of Book of Eclipse, 2 copies of Enemy Controller with 1 copy of Harvey's Feather Duster. We have 1 Monster Reborn with 1 Sprite Smashers, triple copies of Good Ol' Starter, 2 Tack Talents, 2 Imperms, and 1 copy of Sprite Revive My Frog. We also have 1 Underworld Goddess with 1 2 Sprint, 1 copy of IP, 1 Ashima, 1 Totally Awesome, 1 Shadow Mosquito because OTKs are stupid, 1 Mannequin Cat with 1 Melfi's of the Forest, 2 copies of Gigantic Sprite, 1 Downard, 2 Zeus, and 1 Herald of the Arclight. Then we have triple copies of Dimension Shifter, 1 Droll with 1 Ghost Spell, triple copies of the Divine Carnate, 1 Call by the Grave, 2 copies of Anti-Spell, triple copies of Evenly Matched, and 1 Grave of the Super Ancient No Fun Allowed for Fenrir players out here. Wrapping up your very, very straightforward list here for Sprite. Last as we have here is some JoJo ASMR. JoJo and 2 of their friends actually stepped up to the bat out here, and we're all relatively successful with this deck. Maybe main decking the Harpy's Feather Duster is the right call. They're actually playing Solemns in here, which is actually a little bit of a nice package. Being able to deny your opponent, a crucial card effect is actually very, very strong for this deck. So, we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, triple copies of Fenrir, 2 copies of Rise Heart with triple copies of Unicorn, and then 1 copy of the Scareclaw Cached Era. We have 1 Harpy's Feather Duster with triple copies of Birth, 2 copies of Theosis with 1 Desires, 2 Pot of Prosperity with triple copies of Race Sloth, and then we have 1 Terraforming, your triple Talents with triple Thrust. Also have triple Infinite Permanents, 1 Big Bang, triple Solemn Judgment, and triple copies of your Solemn Reich here, wrapping up your main deck. Down here in the next deck, we have 1 Donner with 1 Diablosis, 2 copies of Big Eye, 2 copies of Shangri-Era, triple copies of Rise Heart, 2 Zeus, 1 copy of the Dark Armed Dragon, 1 Baron, 1 Garuda, and 1 copy of Anintis. Side deck here, of course, is triple Dimension Shifter, 2 Ghost Bells, triple copies of the Giant Space Rock in the Sky, triple copies of Hadoken, triple Lightning Storm, and 1 copy of Dimensional Barrier here, wrapping up your Kashtira Money Dollar Bills, the amazing, aka everything else we had out here for the YCS. So what do you guys think about these very, very interesting lists? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and of course I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces back here then day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.